From big life decisions to friendships that have taken an unexpected turn, we're diving into some of your trickiest dilemmas.
Forget that. We have a big dilemma going on in the show at the minute that we need to get to the bottom of. Dilemma Dr Katriona O'Sullivan is here with us. Hiya, Katrina.
Hi.
Yes.
Splitting the bill on a first date. What are you thinking?
Like, I'm old, right? I'm
No,
50.
you're not.
I'm nearly 50. In my day, the man paid for the bill.
Yeah.
So, like, when me and Dave went on our first date, he offered to pay and I let him pay.
Okay.
And then I've paid. So we went to the cinema and I brought the tickets beforehand.
Nice.
So there is something inside of me, though, that has an expectation of a man to pay. But that's a historic thing that I have to challenge.
It feels quite old-fashioned, though, to admit that. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of women would like the man to pay.
They
on the
do,
first
but
date.
I would split the bill and I'm paying for everything now.
Yeah, well, now you're so
because, like, as
successful.
a true feminist,
As a true feminist.
Yeah.
would you still think maybe first one, a bit of chivalry, happy for him
But,
to
like,
take the bill, and then, like, for whatever happens after that?
I think it depends on the individual. For me personally, if I go on a date with someone and he offers to pay, I say, OK, pay.
Okay, great.
That's fine by me. I have no problem with someone paying for me. Yeah. Some women, though, are absolutely, no, I want to pay half the way, and that's for them. For me, I have no problem with it. And I do have this internalised patriarchy. It is in me.
I know,
It is
same.
that's the things that we're taught. Like, every film I ever watched, the man was this chivalrous being. He paid
he
for
got
the
down on
woman.
the knee.
Yeah,
It's all that.
exactly.
But actually funny, because we were chatting to Angel, who was our model in the hair slot, and she had a totally different take because she's Gen Z. She's like, no, it's too... She said, I would have too much anxiety waiting for him to offer to pay, so I would just immediately go in and say, I'll get my own or I'll pay.
Exactly.
An awkward one. OK, well, I think we've kind of half got to the bottom of that one, but we've got some other viewers' questions here that we need to get to. Right, I feel like I've reached a standstill in my career and I've decided to pursue teaching. It might not be my passion, but it offers stability, financial security and work-life balance that I'm looking for. The challenge is that my friends and family keep discouraging me. They don't think it's the right move, but I do. When do you stop listening to everyone else's opinion and trust your own judgments?
I think this is a great question.
Brilliant question.
So the first thing I'd be asking myself if I was this person, are you moving towards something or are you running away from something? So is she stagnant or are they stagnant in their career? And is that the issue? So I wouldn't be making a big career decision without really reflecting on why they're making that decision. Okay. And it sounds like they have actually reflected, and teaching offers a great work-life balance for them. Like, I hope they really recognise how hard teaching is, though.
Yeah.
Because teaching isn't this job where they get, like, loads of holidays and they finish at 3:30. It is, in some cases, like a full-on profession.
Stressful, yeah.
The thing about friendships is I'm kind of in this situation myself. I'm a professor in the university. I'm a writer. I'm always in this, what am I doing with my career? And my friends are really tied in to me being a professor. Like, and it's a state job and it has a pension. And when I talk to them, they're like, all of their own fears, their values come into play. That's the lens through which they advise me. So I think a really good, confident decision is where you've gone through what your friends are suggesting to you, you've actually reviewed what they've said, and you've gone, no, actually, I'm still going to do it. So I think it's actually good to listen to people saying, I don't think it's a good idea. Work through them questions for yourself. And if you're still embedded in it, you still want to do it, go ahead. I haven't left my professorship, so it's probably not the right thing for me to do. But in this case, I think it sounds like this person's really thought it through. Remember, your friends are not getting in the car at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Monday and driving to the job. It's you. So
friends and family.
Yeah.
So people who would really be caring for... I just wonder, exactly, like, maybe she's burnt out, maybe just something, doesn't like her boss. Yeah. There could be other factors in this as well.
Absolutely.
And people are really trying to look out for you.
I think what's key, though, is what she says is that teaching isn't her dream. And maybe that's what she's communicating to these people, that she's making the decision around logistics. Yeah. And some of us have, like, as we age, we change what we want. Some of us don't want an exciting career where there's prospects for promotion and developing new things. Some of us just want to go to work in the morning, finish at 3:30, go home, deal with our family. And if that's where she's at and her friends and family are not, that might be the conflict. I think working through their questions is really important. But remember, she used to get in the car on the Monday morning and drive to the job. Yeah. And the other thing is this, if she doesn't like it,
You pivot again.
Yeah, you pivot again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not one career for everybody.
Very good.
Next up, a friend's girlfriend doesn't get along with me or the other women in our group, but she's friendly with the boys and often joins their catch-ups. My issue isn't with her. It's that everyone seems so focused on keeping her boyfriend happy that the rest of the girlfriends end up feeling excluded, and it's made for a really uncomfortable dynamic.
First things first, right? This is not about the girl. So that girl probably doesn't like hanging around with girls. She might be anxious with women. She might just prefer the company of men. This is not about her. And there's a little part of me that's like, why are you so bothered? Why are the girls so bothered if one girl is out with the lads? But look, that's a different issue. Obviously, she is bothered. So the issue isn't the girl, the issue is our partner. And conflict avoidance is very common in lots of people. It's a psychological process. Some of us avoid conflict so much that we just push the conflict to another situation, into a situation that may be more easy for them to have the conflict. So the boyfriend is clearly avoiding the conflict with his friend and not saying anything uncomfortable to him, and sacrificing his girlfriend's feelings in some senses. And I think this is quite a common thing that happens in relationships. That, like, a woman will be like, why are you not saying it? And he's like, well, I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
I think this is an issue that emerges in a lot of relationships. My advice is this. She just needs to say it. Not say anything about the girl. She needs to say, I feel really uncomfortable about this situation, and I also feel really uncomfortable about the fact that you're not prioritising how I feel about this situation, and see how he responds. Okay. The warning that I have is this a pattern? Like, does this guy regularly sacrifice how she feels and her feelings to avoid conflict? So is he regularly avoiding conflict and her feelings being pushed to one side so that he doesn't have to face difficult conversations? If that's a trend in the relationship, then that might be something to consider big time, because it can be very frustrating if you think your partner is not putting your needs ahead of other people's.
Yeah, it's very important to bring it up. Right, I've been close friends with a man for 8 years and always saw him as a level-headed, open-minded. But after spending an extended holiday together, I saw a completely different side of him. He made several degrading comments about women, calling women problems if they weren't interested in him, and expressing views that are very influenced by the Manosphere. I became so uncomfortable that I stopped sharing my own opinions to avoid arguments. How do you handle a friendship when you realise actually the values no longer align?
We've had this question before. The one thing I'd be really warning against is jumping into this idea that he's in the Manosphere.
He's Andrew Tate.
He's Andrew Tate's cousin or something.
Because you feel this is a red flag for something more sinister.
But actually, like, there was a report out this morning that the government are actually doing something right now about the Manosphere. Like, if you search for something online, the algorithm will continue to feed you what you're interested in. So this young man may have been rejected, and then may have asked why he's being rejected, and been faced with information about women that further confirms that. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's in the Manosphere and he's Andrew Tate. It might mean that he needs to have a loving conversation with a friend who's witnessing a transformation in him. It sounds as if, though, the issue is also that she felt a little bit afraid to talk to him or to challenge him. So there's two things here. There's his comments about women, but also the fear she had in actually saying something. I think now they're back from holiday, I would sit him down and just be really kind and say, I'm really concerned about some of the things that you mentioned about women. Can we talk about where they come from? And how he responds to that will really be an indicator of whether you can remain friends with him. Like myself personally, I have friends, male friends, who have regularly said degrading things about women, like just off the bat, like Conor McGregor comments.
Casually,
Conor McGregor comments, or comments about, Andrew Tate or whoever. And I've actually had to remain calm and actually say, where does that come from? And oftentimes when you do explore it with somebody and you have an open, honest, non-critical conversation, you can get them thinking differently. So I wouldn't say the friendship's over, but I would definitely suggest that she have a really nice, open conversation about her concerns.
Do you know, conversation, isn't it? Like,
I know, but you make it sound really easy. I feel like I would do that and just a grenade would explode in my face and it turns into this big fight.
I think the big thing when a lot of these conversations happen is you really need to think about what way you address these talks.
And
it's always about owning. It's always about owning it. It's not about criticism. It's about owning. It's about saying, I felt this way. I'm concerned. I am worried. So it's not you. You
this.
It's
your fault.
It's about going off, having a look, we'd all love to be reasonable in every conversation. That's not how it happens. But in this circumstance, she has the opportunity. She's back off holiday. She can go back and try and save the friendship.
Rock of sense as usual.
Rock of sense.
Yep.
Katriona O'Sullivan, thank you so much, as ever, for coming in. We do have more questions we haven't been able to get through, but do send them in if you do have a question that you'd love Katriona to answer. 0896 111 111.
We shall see you after this break.